Okay, so I wanted to build myself a porter band stand, basically. So that my portable bandsaw is usable as a bench mounted one. Now I looked around the net and seen all sorts of different ideas. I really liked the idea of the swag off road one. I was very tempted to buy one, but it suddenly became apparent that once it's sort of mounted in the stand, that's it. It's no longer a portable one. And I wanted to still use this very easily as a portable one because it's so handy just to whip out and, chop off a bit of bar somewhere or take a bit off a machine that you're outside working on. And as I say, once it's in the swag off road and the similar types, that's it. You're in there for quite a long while because it takes some mounting. So anyway, as I say, I had a look around, found all sorts of different ideas. Some I liked, some I didn't. And the one I settled on was from Black Bear Forge. So I have to thank him for his idea. I'm sure he doesn't mind me using it because he put it up there and said, this is how I've done it if you want to do it, sort of thing. Again, I've used scrap out of the workshop. I haven't bought anything for it. It's all just scrap that I found lying about. So let's get on with it. Let's have a little look. And this is how it went. Right, my new clock on the wall with modified hands. I painted them black in the end because I didn't like the gold. Anyway, that's beside the point. This is the bit of kit I want to make a stand for. Milwaukee heavy duty porter band. Bought this a couple of years ago now on eBay, good old eBay. Pretty cheap, so I wasn't expecting much, but when it turned up, it's actually a cracking bit of kit. It's all tight, fresh, nothing's worn. It all works, it's been tested. 3 new bands with it as well, so I'm laughing. Anyway, I've been gathering a few bits and pieces because I wanted to do this job for a long while, and this was the first one I gathered a couple of months ago at the scrapyard. They were doing some girder work and I got him to chop me this lump off, 14 inches long, about 3.5 inches high, 90mm, something like that, because our stuff's obviously metric. And it's about, about 8, just over 8 inches, 230, something like that. Just over 8 inches. And as you can see, it's pretty damn chunky. It's about 5/8 thick there, and about 5/16 at the top. So it's a fair old lump. You don't have to have anything that big, but it was just there. So I've already cut these bits of what these 30 by 30 1.25 inch square box section. If it'll focus, and that angle I've cut there mimics the handle here, that angle there, because I want it to sit on there. That's where I want it to hang. So I've already cut them, and I'm going to cut these couple of bits of flat which I'm going to weld on the top. If I can do this one-handed, weld them on like that, offset like that, so that they have more meat contacting the handle. And then this bit of flat here, I don't know what that is, about 2 inch or so. I'm going to go in there to hold the bottom of it. Oh, excuse me, wife calling. Sorry about that, she wanted to see if I wanted some lunch. Right, so that's basically how it's going to sit. But as you can see, it just needs to come forward a little bit just to get it upright. So I'm going to have to put something at the back there just to hold that up. So basically, that's going to go up there, tight against the body of the motor. And this bit of flat that I cut, I can't actually see it, can you? I don't think. Might be able to. It's going to go on the top there and under the handle. Let's just move the camera up a bit. Under there, so the handle is actually sort of resting on that. So I've cut it fairly close, sort of tight, accurate, so I can trim it down a little bit if necessary. and then they're going to go in there, either side of the handle at the base, one each side, just to stop that bit moving about. And that's it. That's all there is to it, really. So let's do a bit of welding. Weld these bits of flat on the end. Now, I'm just going to eyeball all this. You know, I'm not too fussed about it. It's not rocket science. It, you know, doesn't need to be millimetre perfect or thou perfect, as long as it does the job. So I'm going to tack that on there. That looks about right to me. So just eyeball it up and give it a tack. As I say, I saw this on the net amongst dozens and dozens of other ideas that people have had, and I just thought this was the best for my needs, really. It's easy to put in, easy to take out, and hopefully when we get it done it's going to be remarkably stable. Right, that's splashed a bit of weld on there. It's going to splash a bit on the other side. So it hasn't got to be, it's not actually taking an awful lot of weight, this bit, but I'm going to run down both sides anyway. There you go, that'll do, I think. Give it a quick brush up. Get the muck off. Right, so that's one. So I've just got to do the other one now. I won't bother showing you that, but I've got to make them a pair, so I've got to keep my eye on the pencil. Make sure I get them different, not the same. Right, let's have a little measure up as to where it's going to go, because I want it off centre, because the band actually doesn't run up the middle of the saw, so I want it to run nearer the middle of the bit of channel that it's on, so that you're not sort of hanging off one side when you're using it. So I'm going to put it as close to the edge there. I'm actually just sort of eyeballing it so that it's flush with the outside edge, so there's nothing hanging over to get caught or knocked. I don't know if you can see, the camera's actually steaming up. The weather's a bit odd today, and I've got the camera out the truck and it's bloody well steaming up. You can see there it's real steamed up, but you get the idea where I'm going to put it, because where my hand is, that's where the band runs, so it's going to be almost down the middle of the bit of channel, somewhere there, close enough for me anyway, you know, near enough's good enough in this shot. So I'm just going to clean up that bit there for welding. So I'm just giving it a bit of a grind up. I've got them cleaned up as well while I was waiting for the camera to try and defrost, and I've just taken a little bit off the bottom of them so that they're going to be tight when they're welded up under there. So let's see if we can eyeball this up. Again, it's all going by eye. I'm just going to put a tack on it. I'm holding it tight up against the handle at the top, Obviously I want to get it upright and I want to get it straight and level, but I'm just trying to get a little tack on it first. Now, just taking a little look. See if I can get the other one similar. That's about it, I think. Won't be far off. It's all moving about all over the place, but just put a square on it. See if I can get it somewhere near. That'll do. Couple of tacks on that. And that should just about have it, I reckon. That's pretty stable already, with it just hanging on there. So what it's doing, it's hanging on the top and resting on the top on the channel. So it can't really go very far. Here we go, better look now. So I've managed to get the gaps down the back fairly even. And I don't know if you can tell, but they're actually twisted inwards, because the body of the motor has got like a bit of a chamfer on it, and this the box section has got really nice rounded corners on it, and they fitted really nicely into the corner where the motor is. So putting them at an angle just gets a bit more contact on not only the handle, the underside of the handle, but also into the motor. So it's a real nice fit. I'm just going to weld these on. Yeah, so that wasn't designed the way that fitted. That was just coincidence that twisting them round a little bit made a much better fit. Sometimes that happens. I very, very rarely plan things. I think the only things I planned were like the belt sander and probably the smithing magician. I don't think I even planned the Farrier's vice. I think that was a bit hit and miss. Although I did have a bit of a good idea in my head, but the other two are the only ones I think I actually put anything on paper. Alright. The only place I haven't welded on is on the inside. Just gone like 3 sides, which would be absolutely ample. This is quite a heavy box section. So I don't think it's going to go very far, because the bandsaw isn't all that heavy really, and you know, quite a lot of the weight is actually resting on the channel. So it's only when you're going to be pushing on it, trying to push things through the band, that it's really going to take any stress. Providing your band's reasonably sharp, you shouldn't have to do too much pushing. Right, there we go. Nothing fancy, but it's got it. Right, let's see if we can stick it in and work out what we need to do for these other bits. Just want to make sure it's sitting flat. I've still got to put that piece under the back there, although it's pretty rigid already. See, that's not going anywhere. So I'll cut these bits and ground the bottom of them. That's just basically going full length of the handle. Obviously one side's longer than the other because of the angle of the blade. But that's basically what is going to happen. Once they're welded in, I don't think that baby's going anywhere. So, let's see if we can get a few tacks on it. Again, just eyeballing it up. Do the same on the other side. I had someone the other day say to me, can I do the videos without talking over them? Talk at the time. Well, no. I can't talk and work, because if I do I tend to make complete cock-ups in what I'm saying, and it's easy enough to redo a bit of narration afterwards rather than when you're doing it at the time. It means you have to redo the whole job. Right, so I've got them tacked in. I just want to knock that one over a little bit. It's gone a little bit off square, I think. I'm just going to check it again. Yeah, it's moved a little bit, so I need a bit of a hammer. That's a rubber mallet, so it's not going to be doing too much damage there. I think that's got it. And leaving that gap at the top means it's really easy to just dangle the cable through. I'm just going to put that chisel in there because it's still leaning out a little bit. So if I put that in there, that will just square it up while I get a tack on it. I'm going to put a clamp over there as well. Not tight though. I'm literally only going to just clamp it up enough so it's just holding itself, so it's not going to fall off, because I don't want to put it in off square, but I don't want it to pull out when I put a weld on it. So I'm just going to put another one up this end as well for the same reason, and it's literally just biting, so that if that pulls outwards, that ain't going nowhere. Oh, see if we can get a few tacks on there. I'm going to try and put a couple of decent tacks. There's a big gap. Well, say it's a big gap. It's about 1/4 inch between the upright, the box section, and these little bits I'm welding in. So I'm just putting a few blobs in there to bridge the gap. I've just got a nice little tack in there that'll just stiffen everything up, hopefully. It's amazing how welds can pull. I don't know if any of you follow Jody Collier on weldingtipsandtricks.com, but he did a really interesting video once. He put some lasers on a job and aimed them at a wall or a target or something or other, and then welded in different places to see how far the welds pulled. It was really interesting to see where things went and how, by how much, and how you could alter it by welding in a different sequence. Really, really good video. If you get a chance, go and have a look if you can find it. Right, I think that's got it stable enough. Get rid of these clamps. I'll leave that on there just while I do that end. Alright, now just going to put a couple in the middle there, I think. I don't think it really needs it, but whilst I've got it there, I might as well. Belt and braces. Bit of overkill. Alright. Clean that up a bit. Get that old black soot off. Any lumps of stray weld. Bits of spatter. I don't want them to be cutting into the handle. Now that's pretty solid. Nice gap there. So, just going to put that bit in there. I nearly forgot, but believe it or not, that's a perfect offcut from what was left of those two pieces. That fits in there perfect, and it's the right thickness. So that was meant to be, that little bit. I'm just going to weld it in there while I remember. Let's get the last little bit. Done. Alright. Make sure it's down. I think it is. Let's have a little look, because I don't think I'll bother putting a weld that in. Yep, that's nice and flat. Can't be bothered to put a weld in there. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. It's got plenty on this back edge. Right, what I am going to do though, I don't know if you can see, just in those corners there, it looks messy. So, it's not for any other reason than aesthetics. It just doesn't look right to me. It looks a bit messy, so I'm just filling them up with weld. Plus it will tie it all together. Give it a little bit more rigidity. Alright. Let it cool down. Okay, so it's cooled down a bit now. Give it a try. Look at that, drops in a treat. That sits on that bit of stuff at the back. And unfortunately, it's rocking because my bench isn't very flat. And I think that's going to be too thick. Let's put a little bit of something under there. Yeah, that is pretty sturdy. This plate, that's the only thing I had to replace when I bought the saw. It was bent. I bought another one off eBay. No, actually I didn't. I bought it direct from Milwaukee. Anyway, I bought this bit of aluminium, 8x10, 10mm thick, or 3/8 thick, which I'm going to stick on there as a table, because when you want to cut something, you know, it's just much easier if you've got a nice rigid table. But that's for another day, and you still, once it's on there, will be able to use it as a portable. So the only thing is it won't go in its nice case with that on, but I'm going to use it without for a while and see how I get on with it. But I've got a couple of jobs in mind where I need to do lots of slots, and I'd like to keep them sort of even. So if I have a nice big plate to rest it on, I could put, you know, stops on and jigs and all sorts to line things up with for cutting some nice slots. But we'll see. So I've only just built it so far, so I'll have to play about with it. I'm just getting some primer on it. That'll do, I reckon. Done. dry, I suppose we ought to give it a little test. Now what I would do is clamp it to the bench, put a big clamp over it, but I can't be bothered at the moment. And the other thing, we need something to hold the switch down with. I'm just using a little bit of antler, if it'll fit. But ideally, when I cut a nice little lump of wood, it'll just slip in there on a regular basis. As you can see, even without it clamped down, just cutting that bit of 1/4 inch, no problem. And that's with an old blade. That's actually, to be fair, that's the blade that came with it, and I haven't used it that much, but it wasn't sharp. Just cut a bit of brass. Can't really see what I'm doing, but trust me, it's cutting very easy. So there we go. Cool little project. Something I've been wanting to do for ages and ages. Finally got around to it. So let's have a last look round it. And you can see there how those angled plates just sit nicely under the handle, and how it touches the motor there. Those radiused edges of the box section sitting there nicely. The handle is held nice and tightly there. The front there sitting down on the channel. You can see there a better idea of how it's grabbing the handle. And so that I had to replace, but I'm going to take that off and put that plate on eventually. That's for a job for another day, once I've used it for a little while, see its limitations. But that I'm pleased with. There we go, giving it a quick top coat. And that's going to come in dead handy. Now if you don't like any of my videos, don't just give me a thumbs down, just put a little comment to say why. It would help me tremendously. Thanks for watching, we'll catch you on the next one.